Okay, finally we have a past paper question here for you. Now, function questions are very common to get asked. They get asked every single year in the National 5 exam. So I picked out this past paper question just to have a wee look at. Altogether, it's worth 4 marks. It says here that the function f of x is defined by f of x is equal to 2 over root x. First thing we want to do is express f of 5 as a fraction with a rational denominator. So this is not just a test of your ability to work the functions, but it's actually getting you to think about your subs and how you write a fraction, or how you rationalise the denominator of a fraction. So we start with the exact same thing that we did before. We're asked to work out the value of f of 5, so I'm going to replace 5 with as the value of x. So I can say that f of 5 is equal to 2 over root 5. Now what I need to do is I need to actually rationalise the denominator. So as you should remember from our work on rationalising denominators, to do that we multiply top and bottom by the sub on the bottom. So in this case I'm going to multiply top and bottom by root 5. So that is going to give me 2 root 5 over root 5 times root 5, which is just going to be 5. The 2 marks for this part are, the first mark is for substituting incorrectly into the function, so you get a mark for just saying 2 over root 5. The second mark is for rationalising the denominator and leaving it as this, 2 root 5 over 5. In part B here, we have f of k. Now we seem to introduce a different letter here. It doesn't matter if they change the letter. The exact same process goes. So we're just looking at the same function because it's f, but this time we're just giving it a different letter. We're giving the variables different letters. It doesn't matter if we use a, b, c, j, k, z. It doesn't matter at all. So it's still the same function, but this time we're talking about f of k. So if f of k is equal to 0.5, find the value of k. So we already know that f of x is equal to 2 over root x. So that must mean that f of k would be 2 over root k. And if I also know that f of k is equal to 0.5, then it has to follow that 2 over root k is equal to that 0.5. I'm just going to make it into a half, just to make it that little bit simpler for us to work with. This question was in a non-calculator paper, so part of the skills involved would be you recognising 0.5 as a half and then using that to then help you find the value of k. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to just solve the equation. So we can either multiply both sides by root k, then multiply both sides by 2, or we can just look at it as fraction equals fraction. We can just go ahead and cross multiply. So we have root k times 1 is root k, is equal to 2 times 2, which is 4. So root k is equal to 4. I want to find the value of k. So remember, when we solve equations, it's always a game of opposites. You solve equations by doing the opposite process. We have the square root of k is equal to 4. So the opposite of a square root is a square. So I'm just going to square both sides, and I get k is equal to 60. Remember, you can always test that out by substituting back in. In this case, the square root of 16 does give you 4. In terms of the marks for this, you get a mark for making 2 over root k equal to either 0.5 or a half. There is no necessity to turn 0.5 into a half. Then you get your final mark for getting the value of k out. I just find that turning any decimal into a fraction is a lot easier to work with. And that is the functions topic. This will come into play throughout the other topics, especially when we get to straight line, into quadratics, into trigonometry. You will see a lot of this notation of f of x cropping up. And just remember, it just means it's a function of x. The function is given in terms of x, and that is then what we use. And the f of x just means the value of, just means y. Y is equal to f of x.